So today is all about the marketing plan, right? And so there's a few things that we want to think about when we're thinking about our marketing. First and foremost, and this is going to be a high level view of a marketing plan because we can go into the most intricate details when we do marketing. But number one, the first thing that we want to think about is who do we want to serve, right? Who are the people that we want to serve? And then when we think about those people, we want to think about what triggers those people to want coaching. So for example, for me, right, I give myself as an example. The first thing that triggers people to need to want coaching or become coaches is one, either someone, in their company says to them, hey, like I think you should, look for a coach, or I want to suggest a coach, or the person feels like they want to be able to get that next promotion or gain new skills, um, or they're really busy and dissatisfied with their work, and they want to um, find a new way of being of service that really focuses on being, them expressing their expertise and getting paid very well. um Dissatisfaction mostly, I think, is what triggers people to coaching in some sense of their lives. And so the thought is always, how can you, I myself, us as coaches, be more visible to that person when that trigger happens, right? So for example, for me, when a person because let's say a person is at work and they're like, oh my god, if I get a coaching certification or if I get a coach, it would mean the next level for me. How can I get in front of them is by me going to HR, to HR. How can I make myself more visible and connected with HR offices, so that when people go to their HR manager, I'm the first person they think about. And that's just one example. Welcome, Dr. Charmaine Jackman.
Hello there. How are you,
I'm very well. It's
everyone?
Hello. And so today we're talking about marketing plans and positioning ourselves so that our client can easily find us. And so I'm giving that overview, a kind of a bird's eye view of what a marketing plan for coaching might be. So depending on who your target market is, you want to think about who is that person, what triggers them, right, to want coaching, and how can you be visible and available to them when that trigger happens. So for me, it's also like if it's, dissatisfaction, right? The person is dissatisfied with their life. The first thing that people do when they're dissatisfied is one, they call their friends, if they have friends. Two, they go on social media. Or three, they Google. Or they also YouTube. And so I'm sharing all of this because I've done extensive research for myself, which I'm sharing with you. I'm saving you like 10 years of research. And that's basically the process. Who am I serving? Who do I serve? What triggers them to want coaching or want my services? And how can I be present when that trigger happens? Right? Then the second level of that is, where is like, what is the criteria, given, let's say that the person finds you on one of these different medias that you've made yourself available to. What is the criteria that they look for in order to hire you and not the other person? right? So things that people look at are price. Um, are you speaking their language? Are you addressing their pain points? Are you your reputation, reviews, testimonials, success stories, in that kind of in that order. But the first thing is really, are you speaking their language? Are you speaking to their pain? Which is really important. And then Debbie, you said, what is unique about you? True. But don't get caught up on that. Okay? Because people really want to work with people who get them. And as we remember from our coaching certification, how do people know you get them? Is because you're speaking their language.
So basically, you're saying just focus on their pain, speak to their pain.
Entrepreneurship 101.
Mm-hmm.
See a need, feel a need. I know it sounds kind of like it's kind of cold, right? But if you do it, trust me, you're gonna be way more successful than trying to, like, for a very long time, Debbie, I focused on, like, let me make a beautiful logo and a beautiful website. And oh my God, like, what will I call myself? And I will change that over and over again. But none of that mattered until I really got that you need to speak to the person's pain points and how you are going to help that person alleviate, how you're going to alleviate that person's pain. That person does not care if you went to Harvard. They don't, they, all they care about is, like, you get that I am in pain in this way, and you are promising that you are going to take me out of this pain. I want to work with you. And my friend over there said that you're really good because you have a referral. Done. It's really that simple. So if you can put yourself in that mind frame, right, the more clear you are on the people that you're serving, really understanding what are the things that trigger them to want to work with me, and how do I make myself visible and available, at those moments, right? That's like, you are way ahead of the game right there. And then you think about, what are the, like, where can these people find me? Like, where are these people already hanging out that I can hang out and I can make myself visible, right? And doing a very strategic plan around that. You don't have to be throwing darts, like, up in the air. Like, you just being very laser focused around that. So with what I've said so far, um, could you share with me who you're hoping to serve, and kind of what do you think those trigger points could be for them? Debbie, Drea, or Dr. Charmaine?
My goodness. I'll go first because since I'm the one that's on the doing this right now, everybody else has been doing it. But it as you're talking, I'm thinking about the elevator pitch thing, because in a way it's sort of you have to write in a way where you are focusing on the pain of the folks, and you're saying, this is what I will do for you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, so this is what I came up with, and maybe this would answer the question. As far as I'm a certified professional confidence building and leadership life coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This can change, but right now my specialty includes, racial trauma, racial bias deconstruction, and providing the type of support and clarity for those who would like to maximize on their potential, find success and purpose in their next
Mm-hmm.
phase of their goals and dreams.
Mm-hmm. So who are
So
those, like, who?
women.
Women.
minority women.
When you think of that woman, right, who's a woman of color, when do you see her needing your service? Like at what point? Like what would trigger her wanting to use you?
Tiredness. When they're tired of the routine and the cycle and the monotony. That's the point. When life doesn't have that joy anymore, maybe job doesn't have that life, that joy. Like, what did I say? The job doesn't have that joy anymore. And it impacts all the other areas. So it's kind of like they're stagnant in their lives.
Okay. Okay. So when that happens, right? Like here is this woman, this woman of color, she feels tired, she feels stagnant. When she's feeling like that, where does she go to try to find information on how can she get unstuck? Right? How can she revitalize herself? Right?
Yeah.
Everything that's opposite to what she's feeling. Where does she go to find this information in your mind?
Thinking of minority women, it's always they go to their friends. It's like a network. Usually that's where I think we start.
So first you start with your friends, word of mouth. And then if your friends don't have the answers, where do you go after that?
I would think Google. I would think the internet.
So it's like your friends, the internet, Google, and then once you find something on Google, then you're gonna find a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Right. So then that's where the differentiator comes in. Right. Like what would make the person work with Debbie as opposed to work with Lisa? Let's say, that comes up.
Right. It's because I'm speaking to that tiredness and I'm speaking to that stagnancy.
Exactly.
And that resonated with her.
Exactly. Right. So it's like, I'll put myself as an example, right? I'm like, and I go look up like burnout, right? Or like exhaustion, work exhaustion. What would she Google? What is the terms that
the taglines and the tag terms that they would Google, and that's where I like that. Burnout.
Right. Burnout, exhaustion.
Yeah.
Living, how to live your purpose. All those things. So that so then you want to make sure that all of those terms you have in your website.
Or as a tagline, so that when they type in burnt out, mine is going to pop up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So baseline, this is number one right here. And then I'm gonna get into some other stuff in a moment. Drea, how about for you?
Before can I share something? Just some what I'm hearing, and maybe it's just some updated language. Are you okay? Can I share some updated language with you, Debbie? Sorry.
Go ahead, Charmaine. Go ahead.
Okay. And sorry, I'm on the I'm driving. That's why I have my camera on.
It's okay.
So I definitely do work in this DEI space, and I'm really kind of try to move away from the word minority because there's so much power and almost like demeaning and less than in that word. And I know people might use like in a minoritized group, or might use people of color or BIPOC. So even like, thinking about like, how do we move away from that language of feeling less than?
Yes, thank you for saying that. I really hate that word. I use it because we've been using it here too. But I just in a meeting last week, I just said, I am not using the word, I hate the word minority. So I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree.
We're not the minority anyway, so.
No, it does something to your psyche. People don't realize saying those words You know, I hate the minority and majority. I'm not a minority. Maybe it's because of where I come from, but I've never been a minority.
Where are
Thank
you
you for
from,
that.
Debbie? Where are you from?
I'm from Jamaica, the Caribbean. So, you know, never been a minority. But BIPOC is really what I do use, especially officially. If I'm writing something, I always use BIPOC. I don't use minority. So
Mhm.
thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. We all think the same way. That's
So baseline, we want to, starting our marketing to think that way. So Drea, how about yourself? Have you so my question would be like, have you thought of your marketing in this way, in the way that I'm posing it today? And if so, or have you not? Just wondering.
So I have thought about who I want to serve, but I haven't thought about it the way you pose it, like what triggers them to want or have a coach. The population I want to serve are youth. So sometimes they don't know that they need a coach or that they should have a coach. So it's more me working with organizations to get this conversation started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's think about that ideal, like this one youth, right? That if this is what, like, it would be like your ideal client. How old would this person be? And like, is it a female or male? Tell me about this ideal client.
Ideally, it would be a young woman.
Mhm.
But lately I've been thinking a lot about our young men.
Okay.
um, because I know that a lot of young women have more of this, coaching, mentoring availability versus some young men. They don't really have. Um, they may not see this as an option to them. Um,
And also, Drea, think of who would you enjoy working with the most?
um, someone someone who was either has been in the system, needs to transition back into society,
Okay.
to give them some hope, some light, some insight to kind of like pull their greatness out of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's very specific. Like working with someone that has been, when you say the system, I don't want to assume, but do you mean like formerly incarcerated?
Incarcerated, someone that's on probation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So that's very specific. The more specific you can be, the better. So you knowing that, right? Like, where are the touch points when that person exits where you can be available for them, right? So for them, it may not necessarily be Google, but it could be.
them them transitioning out of wherever, either them coming out of prison or them coming off for probation, or um, working with somebody that's on, that's in the middle of their probation and they're trying to get some support.
So even I wonder, like, if for you, is there a way for you to connect with probation officers so that the probation, like, or some kind of organization that works with probation officers, or with people transitioning into society? There has to be. And like, your work is totally with organizations, because these people, we want to assume that they're not going to have the means.
Yep, that's true.
So your work is totally with organizations. right? So it's like you're and it's like the work you're doing is lowering the, what is the word, rescinding, that you know how people not going back there, like you want to make sure that there's a term for that I can't
Yeah, no,
Recidivism, the recidivism rate.
Oh,
recidivism,
recidivist.
which is really high,
I know.
especially for folks of color. Very, very high. So if there is a way that you can work with an organization whose goal is to lower that, Drea, that's a sweet spot.
Do they have
Um,
restorative just? Is it restorative justice? That sort of a
Mhm.
program within that system right now? Do they have that type of a program, restorative justice?
I thought I heard of some type of program, but um, I haven't done a lot of research on it.
Okay.
Yeah, restorative justice is a framework. So I work a lot with actually work at a high school, Andrea. So I do, yeah, the restorative justice is a framework that some schools, we have it at our school, or use the framework at our school to move from that punishment, court involvement, and more thinking about how do we actually, what are the skills we're actually teaching adolescents when they make mistakes, right? Because that's part of the learning. So when we punish them and go to the court system, there's not a lot of learning that happens. And restorative justice is really about, it's, part of it is using circle practice.
so that's something to, thank
Yeah.
you, Shameen. That's something to look into,
Mhm.
Drea. Welcome,
Yeah.
Christina.
Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. So today we're talking about marketing in the way that the framework that I'm offering is for us to think about who we want to serve, what triggers them to need our services, what are the triggers, and also where do they go once they are triggered to look for us. So Debbie shared with us who she hopes to serve, and Aldrea is sharing with us who she's hoping to serve. And so Drea, how does that resonate with you, like looking into that framework of restorative justice?
It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of literature out there about it.
Yeah, I thought it was also in the criminal justice arena also. That's why I brought it up. I didn't know it was in the schools, so Dr. Charmaine, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Um, so thinking about that, and then you want to think about, and I'm going to give you a chance to share, Christina, too. So the third aspect that we want to think about too is, what is the criteria, right, that people look for when they are choosing between working with you to working with someone else? And so why do we look at this is because once we know exactly what's the criteria that people look for when they're looking to work with you, then you can be more compelling and speak to that criteria. So for example, with me, people look at when people want to become a certified coach, they may have already been coaching for a while, but they want the credential. Then they also look at the price. They also look at the criteria of my reputation, the reviews that I may have, the length of the program, the kind of support that they get after, the time commitment, the success stories, those kinds of things. So you also want to consider that in your own marketing, right? What is the criteria that people are measuring you against other competitors? And then I'm gonna stop there for a second, and I want to give Christina the opportunity to share, or actually, you know what, Charmaine, would you like to share um, the
Sure.
trigger for people to work with you?
Yeah, you know,
And
it's funny.
Christine?
I appreciate that question because I'm swirling. So I think the first group I'm thinking about is working with therapists of color. So I do like a master class, and I've started doing, after the master class, I offered monthly coaching sessions. And I would really love to bolster that some more. And similar to Debbie, I'm in that DEI space as well. So when I'm working with clients, I really want to use the coaching framework, particularly like the leadership team or the leader of the organizations, trying to use the coaching framework because I think it's really helpful. It helps me not like dictate what they should do, but really puts them in that place of really having to reflect and do the work of what they can come up with. So those are kind of the two audiences I'm thinking about.
Yeah, especially like in your more, thinking about like for you, because you have many different services, like what is the most profitable one, right? What leverages your time the most? So if it's that master class, right, it's really thinking like, okay, here are therapists of color, what would trigger them, right, to want to take this class, right? So
Right.
like just off the cuff, right, like maybe they feel like they're not getting paid enough, or
Right.
they're like, I gotta start my own thing, um right? And so just listing that so that you can really think about, okay, like, and when that trigger happens, where does the person go to get that solution, and then how can I put myself there, right? And that's basically what I'm doing, is kind of helping you map out a customer journey.
Yeah.
So um right now, what are you doing to get in front of your clients right now?
I do like a weekly event called Thriving Thursdays, but that's open to anybody. And I have some people who have reached out and asked for coaching. I just can't add new clients right now. Um, but yeah, this is really helpful for me because I have to be more I have to like really sit down and map things out. So it's nice to have this refresher because um I'm actually I think I mentioned last week I'm going into like full blast after June. So I
Mm-hmm.
really want to use this time to get set up. So in July, like I have a waiting list that I'm ready to say, okay, yes, I can take you on now. So really want to
Mm-hmm.
use June to help me get set up. So
Right. So thinking like, if people reach out to you for coaching, you're like, I can't talk to you right now, but I can talk to you later. But also to leverage your time, right? And kind of given the scope of your business, you may want to think about, right? Do I want to focus people? Do I want to shift people towards my coaching, or do I want to shift them into my program, my master program, right? And being like laser focused on that, because that leverages your time a lot
better.
better,
Yeah.
right? And you have control over that by really thinking through, like, for any kind of service that you do, or any kind of package, what would trigger someone want to work with me? Boom, and like listen those out. When that person's triggered, where would they go to look for the solution to that trigger? How can I put
Yeah.
myself there? Okay. How about for you, Christina? How does this framework resonate with you? I know that you being such a marketing expert.
Um, so it's really funny that you say this because I took a course a couple months ago with John Assaraf. I think I told you about him before. He's like mega neuro gym. He has like this huge, he does all like neuro marketing. Like that's like all he specializes in. And his class was really interesting because it talked about the same thing. And he said that the best trigger is emotion. So if you can promise somebody that you'll make them feel more confident more focused on their career and give them direction, provide support. You know, if you focus on the person's emotion, that's what gets people to sign up. And so that's what I learned in his program. So for me, you know, I ideally want to work coaching job seekers who are feeling really confused about their career path, unsure. Maybe they've been job seeking for a while, so they feel discouraged. They're very discouraged. They're losing their confidence because they keep getting no's or rejections. And they're just feeling really lost, right? So I know like those are the words.
Confused, rejection, loss.
Yeah, lack of focus or like direction, just like, so for me, I know the words I want to use. I just haven't put it on my website. I just haven't done any of that yet, but I know I want to say something around the lines of like, are you feeling lost on the job search and discouraged by your lack of interviews or lack of interviewing or something like that? And, you know, sign up for my program. But the one thing I want to figure out is, so that's for the coaching side, like for my trainings, like when I do workshops and professional development trainings and public speaking events, like I have a variety of topics that I cover, from like career development, professional development to DEI. So I don't really know what that would look like yet, because that's working primarily. I want to work and do workshops like that for either organizations, nonprofits, or startups and tech companies. So that's kind of like my target. Right now it's been word of mouth. People just like, you know, like I have a big event next month at Zillow and I'm really excited about. There's gonna be like 700 people there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's gonna be all about how to avoid burnout and prioritize self during remote work, like a remote workplace. I haven't done that before, so it's gonna be interesting. I gotta put together the content. But yeah, so I'm trying to figure that out, because I don't really know what that would.
So same thing, right? You can run your the work for the organizations in the same way. Like what triggers these organizations to want to work with me, right? Staff is burnt out. You know, staff is lost around issues of racism. Staff is confused, like same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. And then it's like, and then it's the same question. Where do they go to look for these people, right? Number one, referrals. Hey, do you know someone? That's the number one. Number two, Google. Number three, right? And so it's, how do I put myself in front? How do I make myself be the person they always think about for that? Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's great that you already have that mind frame, right? That it is about the emotions.
People always want to be promised a feeling. Like that after this, you're going to feel empowered and confident, and you got direction and you know what you're doing. That's what people chase. Like they buy nice things because they want to feel good, you know? Right. So it's this thing. You get your nails done because you want to feel pretty, right? Like you do all these things for feeling. So that was really interesting to me because it's true.
Yeah. And so as opposed to like, you know, us wanting to like feel like we have to sell ourselves, right? That's not necessarily, you know, in the traditional way that people think of selling. It's more of like, let's really get clear on what makes someone want to work with you or to need you, right? And literally like take it out of your head and put it on paper, right? And think about where does that person go to look for this information? And once they find a menu of the different services, what are the things that what is the criteria that they look at to work with you? You know, is it like for me it's a lot of you know, with the certification is, you know, people look at what kind of credentialing is it, what kind of reputation, you know, does this person have that's offering this, what are the success stories, what's the price, what's, you know, like looking at all of that and to make sure that, you know, that you're competitive. And this really helps you, you know, to craft your own programs, to not reinvent the wheel, to not underprice yourself, you know, when you're able to do research in this way. And then, lastly is about like making the sale, right? So
Mhm.
once they've considered all of that and all things given, people are going to want to work with people they know, right? Which then gets me to the next part, which is leveraging the people that you already know. Once you're clear on like, this is who I want to serve. Yes, Debbie.
Before you get to the next part, I was just wondering about the message. When Christina touched on, touching on the emotion, and goes back to what you said about reaching out to their pain. I'm just thinking how sometimes the word is not overcompensation, but sometimes when you give too much and they get too overwhelmed, how to balance the message so that even though you're reaching out to the pain, you can overwhelm them with that message.
Give me an
So how
example,
to
Debbie.
balance? I haven't thought of an example. I haven't thought of it in the marketing
Where like
structure,
that,
but
something that
I'm
you've seen, something that
thinking,
you've seen.
yeah, I'm thinking about in the counseling arena. It's when someone is, someone is probably going through that grief, or maybe a loss, say a loss of a family member, and
Mhm.
someone would come and they would be like, "Oh, I feel your pain. I feel what you're going through." The words are right, but maybe for that particular moment, it would be a little bit too much. Like it's more about you than it is about that person.
Right.
You understand? So if saying something like, hey, I'm maybe you have not lost a family member, so you have no clue. You just need to be honest. Hey, I have not lost a family member, so I have no clue what you're going through, but I am here to support you. There's a
Mhm.
difference in that. The, because the person can get a little bit maybe overwhelmed with you just.
So to
You
make
can mix it, right? You can mix it. You can say like feeling discouraged on the job search. What if I told you I can make you feel more confident after 10 weeks? That's literally what this John Assaraf does, and it's genius.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're going to hold you to that too.
He's a multi-millionaire off doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like that,
in
Christina.
so there's this formula, right, that says like when you're in your marketing, right, you share the what and the why, like what you're offering and why you offer it, and then when they purchase you show them how. And so that can help you too, Debbie, to kind of reel in, right, how much information you're giving, right? Like, this is my coaching program that I offer because I feel really compelled to help women of color, who are feeling exhausted from, um, different, whatever those pain points are for you. Um, this is why I offer it. Get a free consultation. And then when they talk to you, then they're like, oh my God, yeah, you talked, it's like you were in my head. Oh my goodness. How do you do it? In this amount of time, I can help alleviate these pain points.
Right. But the trick is getting those one or two sentences to actually still just resonate with them in such a way that they actually do reach out and want to know how,
So Debbie,
that's the trick.
would you say that you yourself are like your ideal client?
Well, I'm sorry, say that again.
Would
Please.
you say that
Mhm.
Debbie, like a person like you would be an ideal client to yourself?
I'm not sure. What do you mean?
What I
I'm
mean,
sorry,
okay,
I'm a
what
little
I
bit.
mean, no, so what I mean is, if you want to help a woman of color,
Mhm.
right? You're a woman of color. You feel
buyer
dissatisfied,
persona, Clara.
huh?
Buyer
Perso-
persona.
Persona non grata.
No, that's the word you're looking for. Are you your buyer persona is your
Yeah.
ideal client? Like, who is your ideal client?
Okay, so I know women and BIPOC women. Thank you, Dr. Charmaine.
So that's you.
Is definitely it's a little bit broad though. And I know I didn't get into much specifics, but honestly, because counseling is what I'm used to, yes, I am actually looking at the counseling arena, and I'm looking at leaders, leaders. I've been a leader myself in many positions. So I guess yes, I am a person, I am a woman of color, and there's certain points from my experience, but also from others that I've taken where I've seen the need to have that need addressed.
So you said, what would be tricky, right? I just want to talk to, right, any obstacles that you have. Number one is, Debbie, you can literally come up with some lines and ask people, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think this will make you buy? Like, you don't have to create this on your own by yourself.
Right. No, I know, we can definitely, I can definitely come up with it. I'm just thinking it's going to take a lot of mental thought to do that. It would be can be a little tricky, but yeah, just thinking about it, I think, I can absolutely come up with something.
Yeah,
and balance it out. Yeah.
And ask.
Mhm.
And ask people that you think could be your potential client. Say, hey, what do you think about this? Is this speaking to your pain point? Like, don't think you have to, like, go in a corner and, like, think about it so hard. It's like, no, just what comes up first, and ask. Don't, like, the last thing I want you to do is to get stuck in development. That's why I'm saying that. Okay. So I think what I want to do is, like, have you go think about these things and then come back next week and talk about specifically the elevator pitch, right? When you can think a little bit more about, like, what your specialty is going to be, who your ideal client is, what the client's pain and struggle is, and what they're going to benefit from working with you. Okay. Um, and then, have you all thought about pricing? Have you started to think about pricing? So I want to share. I just want to share my screen for a moment. So single page. So remember from when we talked before, that we talked about kind of what's that number, right, that we want to generate. So between then and now, are we feeling a little bit more clear about the money that we want to generate within our first year of coaching? Is that a yes, no, maybe so? So, no. I think, it's really important that we just voice it to the universe. So I want to give y'all, this safe container to do that. If you feel comfortable, put it on the chat, unmute yourself, and just voice it.
You mean voice our packages and the pricings and all of that? That's what you're saying?
Number one is, how much would you like to make in the first year of coaching? What would make this worthwhile that you can commit to?
So the reason that I'm so is because I'm still debating if I'm going to go full time with it, like full coaching business, focus on that, or have a job, like I'm interviewing right now with a few places. So I'm like in this limbo. So I really have to figure out if I really, if I'm willing to go full throttle on the coaching business and, like, kind of put all my faith in that, or kind of have a crutch working full time and doing the coaching on the side. So that's why for me, I don't have an exact number until I kind of figure out this job thing.
So let's just say, Christina, let's say you got the job,
Yeah.
And you're still going to do coaching, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So let's go with the lower number, right? With that situation, like what would make it worthwhile? And you say, oh my God, I have
30,
this,
30 to 30K.
oh, I have this really nice hustle, this really
Yeah.
nice side hustle with my coaching that generated $30,000 for me.
Yeah.
That would make it like Clara's program was worth it for me.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
all the other programs that
sure.
you've been doing, like 30,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's 30,000 divided by 12?
Divided by what?
By 12.
I'm horrible at math. 30 divided by 12.
It's 20,
36.
20.
Thank you, Andrea.
How much is it? How much
Because
is it?
it's the same number I'm using, so go ahead.
Okay. How much is it monthly?
2,500.
So it's $2,500 a month, right?
It's not a lot. That's doable.
So if it's $2,500 a month, right?
Mhm.
And you have so Christina, what are you thinking? Do you think you're gonna continue to do more, one-on-ones, or do you think you're gonna do a group program? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I do want to over the summer create a group program, just because I've been noticing that one-on-ones just take a lot of energy out of me, and are also a lot more expensive. So I do, if I will keep maybe 1 or 2 clients that are one-on-one, but just charge them a lot.
Yeah. So when you say a lot, like what is that?
So that's at least 150 a session.
Mhm.
Like 150 a session.
Yeah.
So like I'll do packages of 5 sessions or 10. That's what I do right now.
Mhm.
And then the group coaching, I don't know what my price would be yet. I'd have to I should do the math, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because
So
I'm getting 5 or 6 students in the group coaching at one time. Because I've heard from various coaches, you included that like the ideal number is between 6 and 8
yeah.
for a group coaching program, for enough people to feel engaged and like they can still participate and not feel overwhelmed with too many people, right? So I think between 6 and 8 in each group coaching program. I guess I haven't figured out how long the program is going to be yet, so that's why I don't know the price yet.
Yeah. So like 6 to 8 weeks is like the ideal
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
And if you wanted to generate $2,500, right? Like in your
Yeah.
heart, like what would you feel comfortable marketing for a price for a group with you?
Per person?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say for an 8-week program, at least 500.
Right. So $500, and you wanted to make $2,500.
A month.
Yeah, a month.
Wait, so how much is that? Is it 500 per group or for the whole?
Per person. So
Per
5
person.
times like 6 would be 3,000, right? For that group.
Mhm.
For the 6 weeks, not per group.
Per group.
Per group.
500 per person each week?
No. 500 per person for the whole program.
Okay.
So that's why it makes it more affordable, because it's a group rate rather than individual. It's going to be 150 an hour.
Mhm.
Um,
So if you ran a group,
mhm.
so then you think about how many people would you need to recruit every month in order for you to generate 2,500, right? To run your groups.
Yeah, well, for 5 people, it's 2,500 at 500 a head.
Right.
And then hopefully I would have 1 or 2 one-on-one clients.
Right.
Well.
So that's just so that you can have in your
Yeah.
mind.
No, that's so helpful to like break it down like that. Because do you think that's a good price, 500?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
That's
think.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair, especially like, but so at the end of the day, it's not like, oh, is it a good price? At the end of it, it's like what the question that you ask yourself is, 1, do I feel in integrity charging that? 2, am I delivering 10 times the value of that $500, right? So that you can feel really good about marketing your program,
Yeah.
because you don't want to feel iffy at all. I mean, you're definitely going outside of your comfort zone, but you want to feel like, you know what, listen, like, not only are you going to get $500 worth of stuff, you're going to get like 10 times that. So you can feel really good,
Okay.
you know, about what you're offering. And then, you know, and for everybody else too, it's like breaking it up that way. However much you want to make, like, how can you create a program where you don't really need to get that many clients?
Yeah.
So everything that you do beyond that is just icing on the cake. And the more that you can create a package, the better off you're going to be, right?
Yeah.
The one-offs, like,
And no, I don't do one-offs. I don't
Just-
do one-offs. You
let's
either do
just stay away from that.
sessions, 5 sessions or 10. Like 5 is the minimum. And then there's 10.
And that's not just because of money, right? It's because of impact.
Oh,
One,
totally.
yeah, business wise, yes, of course, we want to scale, so we want package and we want bigger amounts, but also because of impact, because one-offs, they don't work.
No.
It takes time for people to change. It takes time for things to happen. So that's the reason why, you know, we, not just because of the money, but, you know, integrity and in service,
Mhm.
we really want to make a difference here.
No, totally. And I agree. One-offs, they're not, those don't work.
A quick question.
Yes.
And I have to run because I have another meeting.
Mhm.
When
We're
you're doing
almost
the
done.
packages, I know. When you're doing the packages, how do you charge people? Are
Me?
they paying deposits, or either you or what you recommend? Are they paying a half deposit or they pay monthly? Because what's to stop them from saying, oh, I can't finish the package of 5?
Right. So first you try to get it all up front. If the
So you
person's
over discount.
right, so no discounts. So if you offer, you can ask for it all up front, especially like when you're working with, you know, a lot of my clients come from companies and they have the budget to pay for the coaches. So you just gotta check. But you gotta ask for it up front. Like, you just give yourself permission to do that. Number one, ask for the whole money up front. If they say, oh no, like, I can't do that, then you break it up for them. Like, you can break it up into 3s. If they say that the prices are too high, extend the payment. And make it super affordable. At the end of the day, and like, you know, because I use PayPal, and PayPal allows you to create all kinds of payment plans, you just pay like an extra $20 to have that feature. You just extend the payment. I mean, if I have to extend it for people for 6 months, I will. Because at the end of the day, it's like, this is a life-changing experience that they're signing up for. I wouldn't discount it. I would just extend the payment so they have lower payments.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I've shared with people that I have packages of like $6,000 and $12,000. And so I just ask for my money up front. If they say, oh, you know, can we break it down? I'm happy to. And I say, what do you need? And you'll be surprised. People will be like, you know, can you just like break it up into 2 payments or break it up into 3 payments? And you set it up automatic, so it comes right out of their card and you don't have to be chasing anybody. Yeah.
And do you charge more if you extend it? Do you do like?
I usually don't, but some people do.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do it just because I don't care. I just extend it for as long as they want. As long as I'm getting that automatic money, I'm good. I'm good with that. But some people do extend it if they're waiting more. You know, that's your discretion. And some people also like offer a discount if the person pays up front. I don't do that. I don't do that either. I'm just like, you're smart, I'm smart, you want to work together. Like,
I have a random question. So what if you're working with someone and they have a payment plan and you say, you know, your payments due at the beginning of the month, every month. So like start working together in March, so March 1st and April 1st, whatever, and they don't pay you for the second month, and they set up a meeting with you,
Mhm.
and then I send them the invoice, and I'm like, okay, cool, like we'll meet next week. Like, this is an example. We'll meet next week. Here's the invoice. Just make sure you pay that. And they don't pay it still and show up to the meeting. Then what?
Well, you can show up to the meeting and ask them to pay right then and there. Or you could not show up to the meeting. It's really up to you what you choose to do. I mean, I choose to trust my clients and say,
me too,
like,
me too. And she told me, she's like, hey, can we break that into 2 payments? And I was like, yeah, like I'm flexible. I can do that for you.
yeah, and you can totally say, and next
but she
time
still
just let me
didn't pay
know.
that broken down payment. And trying to send me stuff like, oh, look at this. I'm like,
I need you to make your payment first.
where's my money? I feel like, where is my money? I don't do things for free.
Yeah. It's like you totally, setting up that expectation ahead of time. And if they don't pay you, you say, I cannot continue to service you until I receive my payment.
Okay.
Very kindly, like,
Yeah.
and always like assuming the best.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to assume the worst, but I'm also like, don't try me either. I won't see you if you don't pay
Of
me.
course not. Of course not. Yeah, like we don't play that. So, so you're before our next session, we're gonna talk about the elevator pitch.
Okay.
But I want you to really think about, like, what do the packages look like? And everything that I just shared, like where's a trigger? Where are they?
Yeah.
How do I put myself there? What are the benefits that I get? Right. And so you can go off of this. Let me share this again. You can kind of, use this form to think about that, about, what are you going to include in the package and what you're going to charge them. Where and when are you going to promote? Where are you going to put yourself in front of the clients? And then when we talk next week, we can get a little bit more practicing the elevator pitch. How does that sound?
A quick question. I know we're kind of out of time, but I know Christina mentioned this, and I had the same thought. Gradually raising your prices. Maybe you start at a low point, and then you just gradually raise it up. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you think about that?
So one is, like, in order for, be in integrity with your pricing, right? Being in integrity, like, feel good about what your price is. Okay. The lower you start, the more you have to have, the higher you're going to have to climb. So the more that you can, really value yourself and, like, just price yourself in a place that is comfortable for you and that it's competitive with the market. That's what I say. And I'm totally in line with Christina, like increasing your prices as you go along to build your confidence. But I'm also, saying to you, you're great as you are. You're great right now. So price yourself accordingly.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you know your value now, like, why not charge that now? I think at the time I was really, really just not confident and just did not think I could provide value, right?
Yeah, we've all been there. And so it's like, if you follow this framework that I gave you today, right? It's like, then you will be able to ascertain your value a lot clearer, which then will allow you to come up with your pricing with confidence and integrity.
Okay. Yeah, that was my first thought, to be honest, when I first thought about it. And then Christina shared it, just to start and then just raise my price, because coaching is very different from counseling. So I know it's something that I would have to, it's another skill I know I would have to develop. So
yeah, but Debbie,
a natural way. I know. I know, but trust me, my brain works in a certain way.
Debbie's not used to charging people.
That too. But
Give me my money.
my brain works in a certain way. I'm a thinker. All right.
Yeah.
So that means I do things in a very detailed way.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Well,
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
want to just say one last piece. We are all here women of color, and we've been severely underpaid our entire lives. So get paid.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
seriously. Seriously.
Yeah. I'm
All
there
right,
now.
ladies.
I'm
All
there.
right, ladies. Have a great evening, and I will see you
Thanks.
next week.
You too.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.